Oh, you know that feeling. That huge project is just sitting there, the deadline's getting closer and closer, but you're suddenly fascinated by organizing your spice rack. And right on cue, the guilt kicks in. You start telling yourself, I'm so lazy, or I just don't have any discipline. But what if that's all wrong? I mean, what if we've been looking at procrastination completely backward this whole time? All right, let's get into it.
This one sentence from Dr. Tim Pykyle, who's a leading researcher on this stuff, it just changes everything. It completely reframes procrastination. Suddenly, it's not some failure of your productivity, it's a totally human response to difficult feelings. See, it's not about your calendar or your to-do list, it's about what's going on inside.
Right. If it's not a moral failing, then what in the world is it? Well, the answer is actually wired right into our brains, into our basic primal instinct to just avoid pain. So let's pull back the curtain and look at the real science behind why we put things off.
Okay, first up, let's think of procrastination as an emotional escape. This is the key. It's a coping mechanism. It's really not about avoiding the work itself. No, it's about something much, much deeper than that.
And that right there is the crucial point. When we procrastinate, we're really just trying to get away from a bad mood. You're not dodging the spreadsheet, you're dodging that feeling of boredom. Or maybe that feeling of inadequacy that the spreadsheet brings up. In a way, it's a form of self-protection. So what kind of feelings are we talking about here? Well, it's pretty much the usual suspects. It could be anxiety about whether you can even do a good job, or maybe it's just mind-numbing boredom from a really tedious task. It could be insecurity. Do you even have the skills for this? Or, hey, maybe it's just straight-up resentment that you have to do it in the first place.
Think of it like this. You're out in a sea of all these negative feelings, and you feel like you're drowning. Putting off the task feels like grabbing onto a life raft. Ah, instant relief! You're safe, at least for a little while. The only problem is that sea of work is still right there, and now you're just drifting further and further from shore.
So why on earth does our brain go for this short-term fix, even when we know, logically, it's a terrible idea in the long run? Well, it's because there's a full-on battle raging inside your head. It's a conflict between two very different parts of your brain. So on one side, you've got your limbic system. You can think of this as your ancient, emotional, now brain. It's all about instinct, pleasure, and what feels good right now. But on the other side, you have the prefrontal cortex. This is your modern, logical, future brain. It's like the CEO, It's in charge of planning, self-control, and thinking about long-term consequences.
So what happens is, when you face a task that triggers that anxiety or boredom, your limbic system freaks out. It basically sounds the alarm. It sees that bad feeling as a threat, and it wants to escape immediately. It completely hijacks your brain, steamrolling right over your logical prefrontal cortex, and just pushes you toward anything that feels more pleasant in the moment. Like, watching a few dozen cat videos.
And this is where it gets really, really tricky. Because every single time your limbic system wins that fight, it gets a powerful reward. And that reward just makes the habit of procrastinating even stronger. Let's talk about the brain chemistry here.
I want you to meet dopamine. You've probably heard of it as the feel-good chemical, but a better way to think of it is as your brain's motivation molecule. Your brain releases it when you do something that feels rewarding, and its message is simple. Hey, that was good. Let's do that again.
And this creates a really powerful, kind of vicious cycle. It starts with the trigger, that uncomfortable task. Then comes the action. You put it off and do something more fun. And then the reward, that sweet, sweet feeling of relief as the bad feeling goes away, which comes with a nice little hit of dopamine. So your brain learns, hey, avoiding that task made me feel better. And just like that, procrastination gets locked in as your go-to strategy for dealing with any discomfort.
All right, let's pull all of this together and really reframe the problem for good. This isn't about being weak or lazy. It's about a very effective, though let's be real, ultimately self-defeating, strategy to fix your mood.
And we have to be honest with ourselves, this totally makes sense, right? Procrastination works. It is a shockingly effective way to make yourself feel better in the present moment. And that's exactly why it's so sneaky and so hard to break. It gives you an immediate win, even though it basically guarantees a long-term loss. So if the problem isn't a lack of discipline, then the solution can't just be more discipline. Trying to white-knuckle your way through it or beating yourself up for not being productive enough, that just adds more negative feelings to the pile. And guess what? That can actually make the urge to procrastinate even stronger. So to actually break this cycle, we have to stop fighting ourselves and start getting curious. We need to shift our whole perspective, moving away from all that shame and guilt and moving towards self-awareness.
That means we have to stop asking that old, tired question, how can I be more disciplined? That question is a dead end. It just keeps you stuck in that loop of blaming yourself, focusing on a problem, laziness, that isn't even the real issue.
This is the game-changing question. By asking this, you switch from self-criticism to genuine curiosity. You start to see the task not as this big, scary enemy, but as a source of information. What is it about this report or this phone call that's triggering you? Is it boredom, fear, insecurity? See, once you can actually name the emotion, you can start to find a better, healthier way to manage it instead of just running away from it. And that, right there, is the real first step to actually getting things done.